Okay, I am working on this Mustang here, turning it into a post-apocalyptic vehicle. As you can see, I used parts of a Jeep as the ram and for a little bit of back armor. I'm also going to do some windshield armor, some engine hood armor, and some side armor. So let's get started. And then after that I'll paint this. Now let's get started. Okay, I can't cut it with my nippers, so I'll go at it with my Dremel. I normally don't show my process, but I'll show it for this custom. Once it's cut into enough, I can just break a piece off, but sometimes it'll be too stubborn to the point where I have to use just a regular saw blade. Now be careful when you're using these, because if you catch your fingers on the teeth, you will cut yourself wide open. So keep your hand above the teeth. There, just like that. See? It broke. Now I like to go over it with a sanding stick or an emery board or some sandpaper just to true it up, make it so it's not going to hurt someone. This can act as rear armor, but before I do that, let's go ahead and put this car temporarily back together. And you know what? I just noticed that the wheels aren't in the right area. There. We'll leave the interior out for now. And of course that broke off. Alright. So, reason why I temporarily put the chassis back on the body is so we can do a fit test. Make sure the wheels will still be able to spin. And yes, they will. They'll be able to spin even though there's some armor covering them. Alright. Glue points will be on the fin or the spoiler as well as below the lights. Now, what I just did was I propped the car up because I'm going to use accelerant on this piece right here. I'm going to spray that area, then I'm going to attach it. Just like that. Now we're going to go for the other side. Now, this part is not even to or parallel to the other part, but we're just going to see how it looks. Uneven. And that doesn't look so bad, especially with this side being bigger, but the driver needs to be able to get out, so we're going to cut this door off and use it for something else. Alright. Now, like I said, be careful. Don't get your fingers caught on the blade. Otherwise, it's going to hurt and you'll be bleeding. Just a word of caution. But if you're a kid trying to attempt customizing like this, get an adult. Please, get an adult. You'll feel a lot better if you have an adult to do this with you. While they handle the dangerous parts, you can handle gluing on the parts to whatever you want to build. Don't just go all willy-nilly and just use tools, because some of the tools are dangerous and you can hurt yourself. Just in case, a little extra never hurt. There, just like that. Now we're gonna do this top section here. So this is more like a little square. Now, sorry, I had to pick up this Camaro chassis. Or body. Now, the way we're going to accomplish this is with some soft metal. The way I like to do is that since this is so soft, I just like to rip it like that. It's not even, but hey, it gets the job done. Especially if it's going to go in between the parts that you glued. Just like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the glue and do this. Now, we're going to go along the top, just like that. Oh, and that just came right off. Just like that. Now I know it's not even, but don't worry, we can fix that. But actually, I don't think I want to fix that. Because it looks like the guy that owns this post-apocalyptic Mustang is cobbling this car or has cobbled this car together. Now we're gonna see if we can put the doors here and still keep the wheels spinning. And yes, we can. So we'll put that aside again. Get some glue on both sides. Spray the doors. So you want to make sure that these are angled if you're doing this kind of car, because it helps the wheels be more free. Now see, like there's a bit of glue patch that has to be taken off, so that's what we're going to do. The way we're going to do that, now this is kind of pumy because super glue does not smell good, and it's not good for the nose. Actually, we're not going to use this Dremel bit. We're going to use a smaller one that I have. And I have it here. Oh, here it is. We're going to use this bit. Now we're going to see if they'll want to go back together. And they do want to go back together. Just like that. Now we can build up the rest of the top. And actually, I'm actually toying with the idea of putting a gun here. So that's what I'm going to do now. Make sure I get it on camera. Just like that. I'm using sheet plating, metal sheet plating, car parts, an actual car, and tanks. Tank pieces to be exact. And the cool thing is, you don't really need to buy a bunch of stuff. You can just use stuff you have lying around. But sometimes I need to go out and buy stuff. So that's what I do. Sometimes I'll have a random box of junk to use for my needs. A lot of times I'll just wing it. Well, a lot of other times I'll just wing it and see where it gets me. And if it gets me nowhere, that's when I'll go out and get something. But I always make sure it's something I need, like the scope off a gun. I can actually use this as a barrel. I'm just going to clean it up. Cut off the range adjuster. Now, I'm going to take my Dremel and file this down. Now my Dremel is almost about to die, which is why this is so slow. But a lot of other times you can just use toothpicks. You don't exactly have to do it like I'm doing. So yeah, I'm going to take out the battery and let it charge so my Dremel can be full power again. Oh, also, outside is the body to a Camaro. A convertible Camaro that I'm painting red. Why red? Because I like red. So why not red? Alright, spray the inside of that. Stick this on inside. And spray again. Now what I can do is shorten that to look like a gun barrel, because that is too long. Gun barrels are not that long. I'd say about there. Now grab my sanding stick and run the barrel across that. There. It looks like a gun barrel. Now what I'm going to do is take a load of this wiring, cut it off, and then use it as bullet feed. Because if you look right here, there's a gap right there, right where the gun is. And by filling that in, you're actually providing a cool little aesthetic. Like that. So I'm actually going to glue these wires together. And it doesn't matter if they're even or not. So I'm just going to get these covered in glue again. Get accelerant on the inside. And just stick these on through. just like that. See? Just like that. Now it doesn't matter if this is clean or messy because, again, it's supposed to be a post-apocalyptic, so anything basically goes. So yeah, this will be the bullet feed, but I'm gonna need this to sit somewhere. Thinking maybe there, like this. So I'm gonna have to shorten it. You know what? I'll glue it right here as well. Now I can actually use a little bit of its power that I put back into it, so I'm going to. Just like that. Now, I know I've done this before, but I like to use these tank treads because they act as armor as well. And it looks like I don't have a bunch of tank treads left, so I'll just be using these two treads. Then I'll clean off my super glue bottle. Well, that's the Mustang all glued up. But first, let's see if I can actually put this back on. And it looks like I can't. So I'm gonna have to fasten a ram some other way, and I know how. I think I know how. By using one of these razor guards. Yeah, it's just big enough to be used as a ram. But you know what? Not every car needs a ram, so I'm going to leave it off this one and do something else. Instead, I'm going to add this. There. It's not even, but again, it works. These are just some spikes, just in case someone tries to jump onto the car. Now with all the mods we did, let's see if the car still wants to go. Alright, I have to clear out a little bit here. Just like that. Now, there we go. But we can't glue this together yet, and then because we have to paint it, and also I have to weather the interior and weather the car once it's done being painted. What I'm going to do now is clean off my glue bottle like that. Just like that, and then put the cap back on. Alright. Now, I could just sand this, but I don't want to have to go through the trouble of doing that, so I'm just going to prime this black later. Then I'll come back with some. Then I'll come back with some pictures and show it complete. Like what I'm going to do with the Camaro. I'm going to do a slideshow of it complete. Now what I'm going to do is I primed this black, and there's some parts that didn't get painted, but that's okay. That's all going to get covered with the dry brushing and the weathering, so it's really not going to matter. Alright, first things first is we're going to go in with the dry brushing of the silver. Make sure this silver acrylic is all shook up. There. I am going to have to buy some more, which I will this weekend. Alright. Like the bottom of the car, this whole thing is going to get a silver dry brush, and then a rust brush. Ooh. I didn't notice that piece of the ram broke off. Oh well. It adds to the aesthetic, actually. It adds to the aesthetic that this car was cobbled together, so I'm not worried. And you see how the areas that didn't get covered in paint are now getting covered? That's how good a dry brushing is. See? I will take pictures once this whole car is done and glued back together. So, yeah, those pictures will be edited in. After I've cut both parts of the video together and cut some segments out, and that might be too long, which all that work will be done on my laptop. Now what I'm going to do is go in with the rust. And I'm thinking I already need to buy more rust paint. I'm going to rust up the door right here. This door armor. I'm also going to rust up the other one. It's okay if rust gets everywhere else, because this car is not going to be new. It's going to be scratched up and dirty, as well as rusty. Because no car in the post-apocalyptic world ever survives oxidation. It always ends up looking rusty and dirty. Alright, there's the rust. Now, I'm going to take this Sandy Shore paint and I'm going to dry brush on some sand. Then I'm going to go in with my weathering powders for this real sand and dirt and finish it with that. What I'm going to do is hit this grate right here. Then I'm also going to hit this area. Goes this and that. Then I'm also going to hit this and this. Because sometimes vehicles do get dirty. more than they get rusty. Just like that. Now, what we can do, you know what? Let's get a little more paint off the brush. And we'll dry brush the plow as well. Just like that. Moving at the arms. In this section here. There. Okay, just wipe my brush off and leave it in the water. Now what I can do is take my weathering powders and do exactly what I did to the interior to the car. This time we're going to take the dark brown, which is mud, and we're going to do this area here. We're going to do the plow, just like this. Which isn't really a plow, it's more of a ramming bumper. Anyway, yeah, we're just gonna hit this. You can't see it that well, but just wait. When I go in with the light sand and the regular sand, it'll come to life. See? See how dusty it's looking? Just work at it and work at it, and you'll get a look you're going for. See? There are different styles for making a car look weathered, rusted, and beaten. This is just a style I found that works for me. Of course, I'm also going to do the inside, just to help accentuate the fact that it's a dirty car. You really have to make a car look dirty and lived in if it's supposed to be in the apocalypse. Now we're going to go for regular sand. Help weather the crap out of this thing. There. You tell it looks a lot dirtier now. Speaking of which, you gotta hit the outside of the car with the same thing. There. Now it's properly weathered and dirty, as well as rusted. What we can do now is put the powders aside and glue the car back together. First, we need to tidy that up, and then we need to rust that up. Then what we'll do is we'll dirty that up too. Like how we did the wheels. Don't be selective when it comes to the chassis because it won't matter. It won't matter when you beat it up. Now get rid of most of the paint. And it doesn't matter if there's a little bit of rust in there because it kind of adds to the effect. Now watch. See? It looks dirty. Now we can put the interior back in, which this is the Mustang interior. Now we can put the body on top. Just like that. And there it is, a finished Mustang. Now we can glue it together. Now it doesn't matter how you glue it back together, is because you're really only ever going to see the front, back, and the sides as well as the top. Occasionally you'll see the bottom, but that's not the point. The point is that you now have a completed car that's meant for the apocalypse. Now, thank you for joining me on this journey of taking a regular Hot Wheels Mustang with an ugly blue color and a fire decal effect, and sanding that away and turning it into this. Now, up next is this car, which will be a red Bel Air from Mad Max, the film, the first Mad Max film, starring Mel Gibson. Now I know that this isn't accurate, but hey, I'm using what I got, so please don't rip me apart for that. I hope you enjoyed this custom right here, and stay tuned for pictures at the end.